Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Krystal Henry Show. I am so excited that you have joined us on today. I am going to just give you a little bit of information about me, and then we will dive into my amazing guests that we have on this show. You are not going to want to miss this amazing interview. Get a pencil, get a piece of paper, slide up, make sure you can hear real good on your listening device because you don't want to miss the tips, the amazing inspiration that my guest has just for you. So I am Coach Krystal Henry. I'm a success coach who was made to lead millions. I'm a 5-time Amazon best-selling author, an anthologist, a speaker, and media host. I've been featured in over 14 magazines, billboards, and media sites. I have been muzzled in ministry, but I chose to no longer remain silent. I have overcome microaggressions, oppression, and suppression in corporate America underneath the glass ceiling. It's my business to coach you from your what if to your what is through media and books. So I need you to know that we have amazing guests that will inspire you. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things right here on the Krystal Henry Show. If you are looking for a way, a place, a spot to introduce your products, businesses, and services, you can definitely do it here on the Krystal Henry Show. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to an amazing woman. She is a CEO. She is a Topcurl boss. She is all over the place in media, and she's doing great things for people, mentoring amazing people. People love her and what she does. So I want to introduce you all to our amazing guest, Shanay Topcurl Dudley. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Krystal Henry Show.
Thank you, Krystal, so much for having me.
Great. I love your background. I love your closet.
Thank you.
Do you do you do you teach people how to do that?
I actually majored in fashion, and so I don't actually, support people with styling for compensation, but I've been known to give some tips and strategies to a few of my friends here and there. So.
Well, it definitely is beautiful, picturesque, and I'm telling you, I got to get those tips because my closet don't look like that. I love it. I love it. So,
Thank you.
Shanae, I would love for you to let people know how you grew up, where you came from, where you started from.
Okay, great. So I am a proud Baltimorean residing out of Baltimore, Maryland. I grew up in the public school system there, and I actually was an orphan.
Oh,
I
wow.
was in the court system. Oh man, legally, I entered the system at the age of 8, typical Baltimore
Wow.
story. And from there, I, bounced from different homes, most relatives I live with. And then I lived in group home once in Baltimore. And then ultimately, I became one of the first recipients in Maryland to graduate from University, Morgan State University, a free tuition waiver, which back in 2000 they approved for all orphans that was in the system legally before the age of 16. So I was one of the first people to get a free college education by being an orphan from Baltimore. Very
Wow,
grateful
that
for
is
that opportunity that has, you know,
wow, that's
yeah,
amazing.
it's spirit.
You know,
Thank you.
when we come up with a when we come through struggling and not having family, to really care for us, then when people see where you came from and see where you are now, it is super inspirational. So, and then it's great to know that some of the programs that they have in place for people, for children that have needs, it's great to know that something is in place for you to get a step up, for you to get a help up, and then for you to actually just shine all the way through. So that is phenomenal. Now, being an orphan and growing up in public schools, did you get bullied? Did you um, get
Oh, that's
anything?
a story. Yeah. So I'll say I am the only mixed child, from my mom. My mother's African American, my dad is Caucasian, and ultimately being the only mixed one. I mean, we're all mixed up some kind of way through
Somewhere. Yeah.
slavery. Yeah.
Yes.
But in terms of modern day mix, and black and white parent. I wasn't exposed to my dad's side, so my upbringing was solely based upon the principles of the African American family. And so, because I don't look like the typical, African American child, I was definitely a target to be picked on. All the way down to you were adopted. Those are your siblings. All of those type of things. And so, being a tough child from Baltimore, you become a product of your environment. I'll say that. And so sometimes you have to fight your way through to be able to prove yourself. And so it's a part of my story that I don't often revisit, but it's definitely a part of my upbringing, the survival skills of being that child, from Baltimore. It's a tough
Yes.
place to be raised, but I think that it made me stronger, and it gave me a little bit of roughness around the edges, which in my opinion gives me good balance of being that professional woman who's not going to take no stuff. So
See, okay, I love it. And the reason why I love it so much is the fact that you were able to fight your way through. It also helped you be the CEO that you are today. You know,
absolutely.
I think that there is no business that you can have without struggle. There's
Mm,
not a business that you can have without a struggle. And so, being a woman, that is a struggle,
yeah,
and in business, being a
absolutely.
woman in business is a struggle. So, you got scholarships to go to college. Tell us about the degrees you have and then how you use them.
Absolutely. So I have to like push it back all the way to high school, because one of the privileges that I was exposed to was to be able to go to a public school where I had my cosmetology training for free. Shout out to
Mm,
Mergenthaler Vocational Technical High School. And so I'm really proud of where I came from. And I made the decision at a very young age in middle school that I wasn't going to go to the college prep school Western that most people are from. It's an all girls school in Baltimore, and I got accepted. And I decided, with my, I'll just say, broken home structure, or bouncing around, living from house to house, I was really afraid of going to college. So I wanted to try something new, but I didn't know how I was going to be able to pay for it, of course. And so I made the tough decision to put the college preparatory high school I got accepted into on the back burner so that I can pursue a vocational school and take up
wow.
something that I love, which was, the service of providing hair services. And from that, I actually graduated. I was the first one in my class, my graduating class, obtain that license, my college license. And so I've been licensed ever since 17, which is a
Wow.
huge, accomplishment, especially for someone coming from, broken structured home. And I must add, the nonprofit program that kind of took care of me at the age of 17, because I actually lived on my own at 17, had my own apartment
Wow.
where the state, the
Wow.
nonprofit, shout out to Pathways, they actually provided the opportunity, because it's difficult to adopt children that are teenagers. It's very difficult. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
I'm very thankful grateful that the state has these non profit programs in place to be able to support us. And I was just one of those, success stories that actually took advantage of any opportunity that they gave me because I didn't know what the end looked like. And again,
Mm.
coming from Baltimore, it's tough. It's a place of survival of the fittest, and truly. And so I use that as a stepping stone. I continued to go to school. I lived on my own with a roommate who paired me with. I got my cosmetology license at the age of 17. And upon graduating high school, I just went to Morgan State right down the street, literally walking distance from my high school. And I could have chose any state university in Maryland because I need family support. I just felt like I needed to go somewhere that was close and keep me in my comfort zone. And so Morgan State is definitely it. I'm proud to be an HBCU graduate. And while at Morgan, I majored in family and consumer science, which used to be called economics for those older listeners, and it's now called fashion because you actually have concentration. So it's not like the typical home economics where you
Hmm.
just all this variety of family with the child care, preparing meals, consumer education, sewing and making the clothes. So family and consumer science give you ability to have a concentration. And so with that concentration, or I'll just call it a minor, my minor per se was in fashion merchandising. And so
Wow.
with that fashion merchandising, understudy of family and consumer science, I really was inspired to eventually move, to New York and pursue fashion as a designer, possibly because I mean, you could imagine as an orphan, you didn't have exposure to nice clothing, nice shoes, nice, just anything. And so you made best, what you had, without complaining. And I'm so appreciative for those humble beginnings. And I just wanted to make my mark some kind of way in fashion. But in the midst of being college, I was blessed at the time. I may not have seen it as a blessing, but while in college, I did have two sons, Sean and
Mm.
Justin. And so they changed my whole life plan. New York
Wow.
is not the place where you move to and struggle with kids to try to make it big in fashion. And so I had
You
to
know what?
revamp,
I just got you to stop right there because that is phenomenal. And I need you to stop right there because there are many people that tell single moms, you can't make it and you can't do it. And so here we have the beautiful, the phenomenal Shanay Topcurl, who is here saying, yes, you can make it. She struggled
absolutely.
against all odds and she is still making it, still doing phenomenal things. So I just got to stop you because I don't want you to run past the remarkable things that you have done, and I want other people, I want our listening audience to know that you can make it no matter what they say you can't do. So yes, I love it. And then to be in an industry of fashion, that is phenomenal because that's a cutthroat industry. You could be up one day, you could have a great, outfit or design, and then you could be down and out the next. So that is phenomenal. So you have your sons, you're going to college, what else are you doing at this point in your life?
At
I
this
didn't want.
point, I forgot to mention, I'm juggling working a full-time job. I started out working at different salons, but the bulk of my college years, I went to work for hair cuttery because I wanted to master hair cutting. That was my specialty. I wanted that to be my specialty, number one, and then coloring hair would be my number two. And so I was juggling full-time job. I still maintain going to school full time, using part time income to be able to offset daycare expenses for the boys. And so college, undergrad experience was some experience, and it actually added 2 additional years. Because at that point, having juggling your children with your career and with college, you can't take 15, 18
Right.
credits. You have to
Right.
typically do the minimal, which is 12.
Right.
And so it actually put me there 6 years, and it doesn't matter where you start, or how you finish. It just matters that you finish and you accomplish that goal.
Yes.
And so as I mentor people, I always make sure that they understand that don't count the time, count the end and see the finish line. And so I've always just try to self-motivate myself to keep myself motivated, because a lot of times people will look to the family to motivate them. But what happens? We have people like myself who don't have that great support system.
Right.
You have to be your own cheerleader. You have to be your own person of motivation, and you got to push through and persevere to be able to get over all the obstacles that ultimately are going to be put in front of you. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Wow. That is, when I think about you juggling and you going to school and you making the grades and you're raising your children and you're doing it all. You're doing it all. And you have multiple degrees. You didn't just do it once.
Yeah.
You weren't
Right.
one and done. You
Yeah.
kept going. And so I applaud you for that. And I thank
Thank
God that
you.
you remember the different organizations that helped you along the way. So great shout outs. And this is definitely something that our listening audience can glean from. So what made you said you were working for a company. Now, what got you to the point where you wanted to begin your own business?
Yes. So quickly upon exiting undergrad, you got to find benefits and take care of those kids. And
Right.
so I was like, well, what can I do? I have a degree in fashion, pretty much. What can I do that would still be able to provide for the family? And so ultimately, someone put a bug in my ear and said, "You could be a teacher." And I was like, "A teacher?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't think I could deal with the pressures of the smart kids getting smart and talking back and so forth.
Right. Right.
Stereotype, I'll say, of
Right.
teaching." And so I say, oh my goodness, I don't think that's a good fit for my personality. And ultimately, when you get down to the wire, you're like, okay, you need some
You need
income.
some money.
Income, right. And so I went into teaching. I actually found a fashion design teaching position that
Wow.
wasn't in my hometown of Baltimore. It was actually still in my state of Maryland, but it was actually about an hour 15 minutes away from my home. And so I accepted the position. I commuted for 5 years and I became a fashion design instructor. I did that for 5 years. I loved it, but it wasn't enough money. One
Hmm.
month you pay the rent, the next month
Right.
you pay the car payment, and then the
Right.
next month after something's late, something's always late. So you go back
Right.
and forth juggling, because as an entry level instructor or teacher, it's just not enough money to be what I would call livable income. And
Right.
so it was a no brainer to grow in my career while I still did hair part time. I had to go back to school. And
Mm.
so I decided that I was going to go to Towson University, because one of my aunts told me at an earlier age, if I did go the college route, she's like, you know what? You want to diversify that resume. Don't just have
Okay.
all African American HBCU schools on your resume. She was like, compete with the best of them and show them you have, educational range per se. And so
Okay.
I took that advice and I just said, well, Towson's up the street from Morgan. So there you go. I went to schools right in a certain, area
Area
of the
vicinity. Yes.
and so I went to Towson, and I majored in secondary education, which covers middle school and high school education. And
Wow.
so as a fashion design teacher, I was obviously a high school teacher, which all my years of educating was in high school. And so once I got my master's, I started to see more money come in, more money. And so, yeah, I was like, yes, I finally can pay both of my bills, the two major bills, the car payment and the rent
Right.
at the same
Same
month. Like,
time.
it's the
Yes,
little goals that matter. Like, some people like, I want to
absolutely.
be, wealthy and I want to be, no, I just want to pay all my bills and have a little bit of, you know, excursion money at the end, or, just a little bit of
Be able to
extracurricular
go
money.
shop. Yeah, be able to shop, eat, take the boys somewhere. Yes, I
Exactly.
understand.
Yeah.
That's a
And
dream of a lot of single women. That is a dream to be able to pay all your bills, just pay your bills and pay them comfortably.
absolutely. Absolutely. So important. And
Yes.
so, after I got a little bit of money from the masters, a little bit more, I was like, you know what? I had been working on my credit all this time. I said, let's go look into home ownership. So I bought my first house at
Wow.
27, and
Wow. Say that
I
again. Say that again. Say that
I
one more
bought my
time.
first house at 21. I'm sorry, at 27. And
And you
so,
were
yeah,
a single mother of two
yeah,
boys.
yeah, single
See,
mom with two boys.
that is amazing. See, if you can do it. See, the thing about our testimonies, when we tell about what we've been through and overcome,
Mhm.
that helps somebody else know I can do it too. That's phenomenal. So you bought your
Absolutely.
first house at 27.
Yes.
People are in their 50s buying their first house, together with the spouse, so that
Right.
is phenomenal. You've gotten your master's, you've gotten your home, you're getting some more money in there. And so then
Mhm.
what do you do next?
So then I say, well, I'm borderline almost house broke. So this isn't enough money either. I put all my savings down on the home because first time home buyer program didn't come through. They exhausted funding when I got to the table.
Wow.
And so I
Wow.
also shared that part of my story of make sure you have more than you need at the table because you could lose the house at the
Yeah.
table.
Wow.
And so I just kept saving and saving. And I kept trying to put out the interest. Ultimately, if I was going to remain a teacher, at this point, it had been like 5 years. I said, you know what? I want to teach what I truly want to teach. I just wanted to be fabulous in fashion, but I didn't want to necessarily teach it. So,
Okay.
I,
Okay.
even though I enjoyed it, it just wasn't the direction, the curriculum wasn't the direction that I would have wanted it to go. And so I said, well, if it teach me cosmetology because I can do cosmetology in my sleep. And so I kept trying, applying, but it's very few positions available. And actually in my district, there's only 9 positions. So people are
Mm,
either, retiring or unfortunately passing away in those positions because
right.
they're hard to
Right.
come.
Right.
So, and so one year 2011, I actually got my opportunity because I live by the golden rule of closed mouths don't get fed. And what that
Okay.
means to me is some people will say, don't discuss your goals with others. I say I disagree. I say if it wasn't for the fact that I share my vision and my goals with others, they wouldn't consider me when opportunities are presented in front of them. Say, you know what? Shanay is looking for a cosmetology position. Let me contact her and see if she's still interested. And that's ultimately how I got the job because I wasn't
Wow.
afraid to let people know of what my goals
That you were
was.
looking. And you know what?
Absolutely. And so,
I, I love the fact that you said that because you were in a great position. You were in a great position. You were working where you had your degree in, but you said, no, that's still not what I want to be doing. And
right.
when we work at jobs, we need to get in a position where we feel fulfillment. And so
Absolutely.
switching and moving was moving yourself into that place of purpose and fulfillment. So I love that. Our listening audience needs to know it's okay to move. It's okay to move.
Absolutely.
It's okay to shift to get in that position that you know is exactly for you. So once you moved and shifted, what happened next?
Yes. So, in addition to making that shift, I not only got offered the position, I got offered the program coordinator, or we typically call it like a program coordinator, so a department
Mm-hmm.
chair type thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
I got to be the leader in the department, which was actually, extra for me. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And so my first year, in all honesty, I'm very passionate about the beauty industry. And my first year, I didn't do as well with getting the young ladies licensed. And
Mm.
so one thing I always do as a practitioner is I'm always reflecting. How can I improve? How can I get better? And so, unbeknown to others, I was already internally dealing with this process of like, how can I make the next group better? How can I improve?
Mm.
And so I went into a meeting that year, beginning of that next school year, and I'll never forget it because it was a pivotal moment in my career. I had someone who didn't know me and I didn't know her, and she called me out for back
Mm.
of like
Wow.
better term, called me out. And so she said, basically I had input in the discussion, and she said, well, you didn't do well last year. Your numbers wasn't where they should have been. And so
Wow.
I guess she used that as a way to discredit me. And so
Mm.
I told her, I said, I don't have a mentor in this. So I'm learning as I go. But, to keep it professional, I now took those internal thoughts that I already felt and I pushed it to the metal. And
Okay.
this group was walking it's like, yes, who's gonna say something now? And so they, indirectly they created this driven monster to, improve off of what I've already been doing. And I kept saying, you want data? I will give you the data. And so I would go home as a teacher. I would study. I would watch videos. I was reading the textbook left and right. I strengthened my personal knowledge to make sure
Mm.
that I could be so good of a strong educator where I didn't even need the textbook. I
Okay.
hardly ever, I the textbook, but I don't teach from the textbook. I don't do round reading in the classroom and all of those typical early teacher strategies that one is familiar with. And so I really pride myself on mastering my
Yes.
craft of being an educator.
I
And
love it.
so yeah. And so from there, it just spiraled because my name became this industry name of, oh, you can't pass your exam? You should contact Topcurl. She can get the job done. And so I started having people who went to private career schools. And I
Wow.
don't mind name dropping Aveda, Paul Mitchell, locally we have Hair
Okay.
Academy. We have all of these different hair schools. And, I've had my fair share of candidates because they have to remain anonymous. It's a
Mm-hmm.
confidentiality exam profession that I also do. And
Mm-hmm.
I basically teach them to the test and I train them based off of what you need to go, what you need to know, because at that point, you've already completed the state requirements of the hours. And,
Okay.
you don't have to go back goal, but you need to accomplish that goal that you set out on. And so with as little as 1 to 2 sessions of me polishing off, I've created my own, I guess you call it an ebook. And I would give
Curriculum.
them this where I condensed 32 chapters of the textbook
Wow.
down to about 20, 25 pages of an ebook of the most essential things. And so I was doing this as community service. I didn't even charge people initially.
Wow.
And
Wow.
once I got to the ninth person who, as I would say, one and done, that's my motto, one and done. They were one and
Right.
done with one session with me. I mean, I've had people send me cards crying. One girl,
Wow.
I couldn't even understand what she said, but I knew she said she got a license. And so there's a sense of pride that comes with, these young
Yes.
ladies were failing 5 and 6 times and couldn't get it. And to be a
Wow.
blessing to them was it was just doing something to me personally to be able
Yes.
self-satisfying to be able to wow. And so each one of them, they started like different people over a period of time. I created an outline to get a little bit of compensation,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
starting out. I was doing sessions as low as $75 to help
Wow.
people get a
Wow.
license where they beauty schools then paid 20, $20,000
Yes.
dollars. So
Right.
it wasn't
Right.
the compensation. It was about genuinely helping people and being able to do, public service support without, someone saying that you have to do it this way. I'm like, no, I want to do it the way I want to do it. And if my passion is this, I want it to be very meaningful of a way to give back. And so that's what I did. And they encouraged me to open my own school. And
Wow.
I honestly was like, oh my goodness. At the time I was married, I got married, and I kept saying, I mean, I have a little bit of money in the bank, but I had nowhere near in the bank what is required to do construction for a beauty school. I had,
Mm.
and so I became
Woo.
very creative. I became very creative with my financing. I prayed over it. My husband at the time, I'm divorced now, but my husband at the time, he was very hard on me, and a lot of it was for good reason. And he said, we're not talking about a beauty school until I see this business plan. And so he was always the type of person to say, put your money where your mouth, put your money where your mouth
Yes.
is. And so
Right.
until I physically had that business plan, we couldn't have pillow talk about the school. And so
Okay.
it was okay because it was a great way, again, to motivate me to get it done. And once I got it, I was walking into the bedroom for pillow talk and say, hey, look what I got.
Now,
Because
was your husband an entrepreneur? Was he a business
he
owner?
was. So yeah,
Okay,
so
so
he
he knew what he was talking about.
absolutely, absolutely. I definitely give credit to him with his entrepreneurial skill sets that he had. So yeah, he definitely, encouraged me and help polish me off in certain areas as it pertains to that entrepreneurial piece. And
Yes.
so, once I had that business plan, I went to the bank account and I was like, "Where's the money? It's not there." And so ultimately I got very creative, and like I said, I prayed over it, and I always maintained really good credit. But I
Mhm.
had,
Mhm.
the golden rule for the listeners is once you buy a home, you start getting these high credit limit credit cards in the mail. And
Yes.
so the key is you have to be disciplined not to use them, you know.
Yes.
And so I did do even though I was really into fashion, I really tried my best to not frivolously just spend on them or wastefully spend. And so because I did that, I had opportunities come in the mail. And so this is
Wow.
where my creative financing came in. I love to share this part of me being a
Mhm.
business owner because most of the time we don't think about this creative financing. And so
Okay.
I would normally get in the mail these credit card mailings. And when you open it, it has some blank checks and they'd say,
Right. Right.
oh, you could get zero
$20,000. Yeah.
financing for 12, 18 months. You just have to
Right.
pay like a 3% finance, I mean, not finance, processing fee for it. And because I had
Okay.
these credit cards with these extremely high credit limits on it, I thought about it and I said, let's think. My name is Shanay Dudley on paper, which is a
Okay.
100% Black girl. So we can't walk in the bank and ask for over $100,000 cash when you're in a
Right.
new business. It's not typical and it's not
Right.
realistic. And so I
Right.
said, well,
Mhm.
no, I can do that. So I said, if I did try it and they approved me, they're not going to give me 3% interest rate.
Right.
So I said, I'm going to cash these checks out to myself and I'm going to pay the 3% and I'm going to work my hardest. I had 18 months,
Right.
0%.
To pay it off. Mhm.
My hardest. And for 18 months, I didn't take no income from my business. And I paid off all my business debt before I pocketed $1 for my beauty.
Woo! Now that's amazing. Now that is what I'm talking about, creative and innovative.
Yes.
You did not, even though you went into debt by using the cards, but then again, you didn't go into debt because you paid it off. And
Absolutely.
so we have to be creative in ways of business, because a lot of times they'll look at us and say, no, you can't have that 100,000 or that $200,000 to start your business. But that is phenomenal, Shanay. That is boss thinking. That is
Yes.
a boss thinking.
And I
Absolutely.
and I just would like to, tell the listeners also, because when you grow up in poverty like I did in Baltimore, credit cards are like, oh,
It's
don't do
gold.
credit cards. No, you can't do that. But what I would want the listeners to know and to say to them is, you got to weigh the pros and the cons. Do you stay stagnant and just settle for, like, I'll use me for example, being the teacher who is just one little percentile over not being house broke, or do you take a chance with using credit to elevate you and get to the next level responsibly? And that's the key.
Responsibly. That's the
Yes.
key. That is
Yep.
the key. That is the
Because
key.
let's be
And you did
honest.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You,
Let's
you
be
did it.
honest. Credit score dropped. We know you use over 30% of a credit limit. Your credit
Right.
score goes down,
Goes
plummet.
down.
We know
Hmm.
that. But
Right.
you got to look at the end goal and say, you know what, this is the temporary situation.
Right.
But
Right.
when I need my credit again, I'm going to pay it off and it's going to go back
Right.
up. And so I
Right.
was very strategic to do it. And I did it all at once,
Mm.
with different credit cards. And I mean, even down to, you know, I was very creative. I was taking money out of retirement at the end, some of my
Oh,
retirement
wow.
touch, because as they
Hmm.
say in business, I mean, I didn't even
Right.
have floors in my space. I had to put the floors down. And so
Wow.
they say when you have a construction bill, you always got
Right.
to put at least 10, 15% over. And
Right.
so I prayed about it and I said, we didn't get to the end of this project to run out of the last 10% of the bill.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
you be, creative. And I said, you know what? Let me borrow a little bit, from this and be able to come up with the difference, because ultimately all my credit cards and the cash availability that I did have, it just wasn't enough for a project. For my first school is 3,800 square feet. So that's a big
Wow.
project.
That's a big, that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
for your first business. I had to do floors, I had to do
Yeah.
plumbing, I had to do
Oh, wow.
electrical. And when you
Wow.
own beauty businesses, you gotta almost have like a plumber and electrician on retainer,
Right.
because those are the two things that we blow up or run out
Yes.
of, right?
Yes, exactly. That is
Yeah.
so true.
Mhm.
That is phenomenal. You have just really laid out the business plans. You've laid out the way of staying focused with your kids, staying focused, getting married, staying
Yeah.
focused, opening your business, doing a build. Because, a lot of people would say, well, why didn't you just get a business that was already built and just kind of adjusted a little bit? But it was for a beauty school. So you
Mhm.
had to have sinks and dryers and electrical plugs for all the curling irons. And
Yeah.
you just had to have space. So that was a
Absolutely.
big endeavor, 3,800 square feet.
Yeah.
Wow. That
Yeah.
is phenomenal. And so
Yeah.
now, where did that lead you? How many businesses do you have operating? Do you have more than one school? What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yes. So currently I have one school, Topcurl Beauty Academy. We refer to it as the Bowie location. That's in Bowie, Maryland. And then during COVID, I opened up a second school, Topcurl Beauty Academy, Alexandria. That's in Virginia. And the schools
Okay.
are about maybe 25 minutes apart. I also have Salon Topcurl Topcurl, which is in the same building as the Bowie School, and that is salon suite concept. And so that consists of 7 private suites where we have esthetician, hairstylists, nail techs, massage therapists also. And so
Wow.
so those are my 3 businesses where I'm 100% owner on. And then my most recent project, me and my partners acquired by auction a
Wow.
22,000 square foot event center with 3 ballrooms.
Wow.
So yeah, so we bought some big real estate there. So
Yes.
yeah, so
Wow.
those
So what are you going
businesses.
to do with that big property?
Yeah, so it's already up and running, and that is called Grace's Event Center. That's in Waldorf, Maryland. And Grace's is a formal event center where you can have weddings, of course. We seat up to 430 people
Wow.
with 3 ballrooms. We have over 250 parking spots. It's a
Wow.
standalone event center. And so it's up and running, and people, just as any other event center, people can book it for their private venues. We have some it's campaign season. So we have
Yes.
some, people running for office that is
Office.
renting the space,
Yes.
weddings, birthday parties. We do a monthly Sunday brunch. And
Wow.
so we do
Okay.
a lot of events there. And so I'm really thankful to not only be invited on this project with my big sis. She's my really good friend of 16 years, Carla. And I met her when I became a teacher, and we both teachers, and she just kind of took me under her wing with the education piece, and she extended the opportunity, and it was a no-brainer. When sis called, I
Wow.
go. So
Yes,
yeah.
yes. That is phenomenal. Well, we have had an amazing time with you just learning about all your endeavors, how you have pushed through and been elevated. And I love for the way you said you prayed, and God answered your prayers and directed you through it all. So you definitely are Topcurl, tenacity, CEO, boss lady. You are all of that and some more. So
Oh,
before we get off the air, I would love for you to let them know how they can reach you on social media, your website. Just they need to be able to, if they have been not passing the test, if they need their license, they need to know how to get in touch with you. So go ahead and let everyone know how they can find you.
yeah, so on Instagram and Facebook, my personal page is Top Curl. And so you can follow me on Top Curl. The business page is Top Curl Beauty, and that's on Instagram and Facebook also. Our website is topcurl.com. Actually, it's everything that I have going on. So from that website, you can click the beauty school. You can book me as a motivational speaker. You can do exam prep, anything that you want to see that Top Curl kind of has going on. All of the things is going to be on topcurl.com. Or if you specifically looking just for beauty school enrollment, topcurlbeauty.com. At Top Curl Beauty Academy, we actually have 4 programs. We have cosmetology, nail technology, aesthetics, and makeup artistry. And so we'll be looking in the next coming years to expand to barbering. So we're in it to win it, and we're going to cover every aspect of beauty. We also have continuing education training that we do just to be able to support people on all levels of where they are with their beauty education.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, thank you so much. That has been it's been an amazing time. I knew when I met you. Also, y'all, she is beautiful. If you get a hold of her magazine that she is on, she's amazing. So do not count her out. Count her in on everything that she is doing. You got to get her. just what you heard on today. You have got to get her to come and speak and motivate your students, motivate your people in your groups and your organizations, because she's lived a life of exemplary overcoming. She is an overcomer. So, Shanay, I appreciate you coming and being a part of the Krystal Henry Show. You are a phenomenal, amazing CEO, boss
Thank
lady,
you.
and mentor. So it is
Yeah,
great to have met you in person and to
yeah.
have this opportunity to interview you. And so I just want to thank you so much for that. And I appreciate everything you've done. And so y'all, please look her up and know that you are definitely getting a prize and a gem. So
Thank,
with that, thank you so much for coming on.
thank you,
I appreciate.
Coach Krystal. I truly appreciate the opportunity, to be able to give back to your listening audience, and just be able to share a snippet of, my success story. And, hopefully I can motivate, as many people, as many of your listeners as possible, so that they have those words of encouragement that you can do anything that you set out to do. It's just a matter of writing it down so you can revisit it and reevaluate the plan and to see if you're on track.
Oh, yes. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Well, thank you so much for all the tips and just your strategies and your amazing life story. I appreciate you sharing that with our listening audience. And so, with all of that being said, I thank you for being a part of the Krystal Henry Show. Please join us next time. And don't forget to encourage somebody, share this information, let them know that you can find it on the Krystal Henry Show. With that being said, y'all be blessed, and thank you so much for being a part of this amazing time.